Ubisoft is completely screwed. Thousands of their employees are striking, they're canceling tons of projects, and now we are finding out that more developers who worked on Assassin's Creed Shadows, XDefiant, and Star Wars Outlaws have been laid off. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, we know a lot of companies in the industry are going through some tough times, but I don't care that Ubisoft is struggling right now. I really don't care if any of these 17,000 employees Ubisoft has have been laid off, because these are the people that do not care about us and our opinions. There are very few industries out there where you can openly attack your customer base and get away with it and keep your job, but we know that Ubisoft has definitely been going through the ringer. They're not worth much anymore. They're not making much anymore. The media's been damage controlling for them. And every single time we hear news about them, it just gets worse and worse. And now we know that Ubisoft Toronto has laid off even more employees. And yeah, okay, 40 employees doesn't sound like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but we are talking about hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds laid off. We've got to be in the thousands now. But as first reported by Mobile Syrup, Ubisoft has laid off 40 employees at its Toronto studio. The job cuts are reportedly part of larger cost-saving initiatives. Other parts of these initiatives have included the closure of Ubisoft Halifax, the cancellation of multiple projects, and other major restructuring measures. This decision was not taken lightly and does not in any way reflect the talent, dedication, or contributions of the individuals affected, Ubisoft said in a statement before confirming that they would help support these employees through their transition. If somebody is great at their job, you don't just casually get rid of them. If they are worth keeping around, you find a way to make that happen. Clearly, these are the employees who were hired years ago. They're dead weight now. Maybe the projects that they were working on were canceled, but we are talking about Ubisoft Toronto, who is a assistant studio. They are helpers on the major games, and well, the past few titles they've helped on have been complete and utter disasters for Ubisoft. We're not talking about rainbows and sunshine here, or oh, they only had one bad game. We know that they are helping on the upcoming Splinter Cell remake, which a lot of people are not particularly excited for, just judging by the state that Ubisoft is in. Rainbow Six Siege X. Then you get into fail after fail after fail with Assassin's Creed Shadows, which we don't know how much money it made, but it seems that it is not as much as the media and Ubisoft want us to believe, because they've only boasted about player counts. That is obviously not copies sold, and they have not talked about the sales, which, hey, when you're a company that's struggling and you want to make it seem like you're doing good, or at least better, you do boast about those numbers, and you do silence the haters, and they didn't do that here. But Assassin's Creed Shadows faced a major amount of backlash. It, as far as we are aware, did not make the amount of money they expected, and it has thrown this series into chaos. We've heard that they are like reworking one of their upcoming AC games. They've canceled an AC game. Doesn't look good all around. Star Wars Outlaws, a game that had underperformed and that a lot of people were disappointed with. I don't know how anybody could really be excited for Star Wars projects anymore. I did enjoy the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor games that came out years and years ago, but those were the exceptions to the rule. Those were the odd games out. And Star Wars Outlaws just highlights the problem with modern day Star Wars, or Disney Star Wars, and that's that it's lifeless. Then you have XDefiant, which survived a year and that was it. It was supposed to be the Call of Duty killer, but instead, not only is Call of Duty struggling, but XDefiant is completely dead and gone. It is over. Didn't make the mark they were expecting. And then Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which also recently the media was boasting about how, oh, it got so many players in game because of the movie, but It went from on Steam 3,000 to 12,000 people, which is fine, but when we're talking about Ubisoft, 12,000 players is still nothing. Then you do have some other games that failed to meet their expectations, like Watch Dogs Legion, for example, Starlink, but a lot of these titles are, yeah, ones that either were deemed successful or that people generally liked, like Assassin's Creed Unity, For Honor, Far Cry, games like that. So this studio is one that could probably disappear tomorrow and it wouldn't truly affect the state of their games because these people are not making games significantly worse, I'm sure, because they are just support, but I'm also certain that they're not making things much better. And when a game like Assassin's Creed Shadows has 2 hours of credits, the Ubisoft Toronto team clearly isn't one that is a lead helper. They just sort of are thrown into the mix with all the others. Now, we do know that this follows what happened in January, where Ubisoft had completely shut down the Assassin's Creed Rebellion developer Halifax Studio just weeks after it unionized. I don't necessarily think that they fired everybody because they unionized. I think that this just happened to be unfortunate timing. I wouldn't trust Ubisoft, though. Wouldn't shock me if they tried to get rid of union workers. Companies are fucking sick of dealing with the union workers who will demand and demand and demand and demand, yet they want to do less and less and less and less work. Regardless, it's not positive what is happening over at Ubisoft. They are not making money. Their net bookings reports are still terrible compared to years prior. They are dealing with an all-time low consumer confidence level. And worst of all is just that they're releasing trash. We're not talking about a Ubisoft that is still releasing good games and there just happens to be doom and gloom behind the scenes. They are not hiring the right people. They are clearly not firing enough people, and they are not actually listening to what customers want. For years, we've been saying what we like in games, what we don't like in games, and it's in one ear and out the other with them, which is why I don't feel that bad for what is happening over at Ubisoft, and really nobody should feel bad at this point. So, because this news has just broken within the hour of me recording this, there are not a lot of posts on it yet. I'm sure over the next day or two, there's going to be a lot of discussion about it. But let's take a peek at what was said in January when Ubisoft shut down its Halifax studio and what people were saying, what people were thinking. It's time to go. Was I a good studio? No. This panel is an exclusive pre-order bonus. Holy fuck, this is funny. A company on the brink of collapse, union busting, instead of focusing on making good games, go bankrupt already, please. Figures. Remember, pirating from Ubisoft is always morally correct. Fuck Ubisoft. Ubisoft, completely unrelated. Rare Ubisoft W. Why do people unionize? Because they are bad at their job and need protection. Burger King Pepe, kick me. Yeah, welcome home. It's time to put the fries in the bag. Press L3 and R3 to activate your union busting vision and follow the union particles. Now the workers can start their own studio and keep all the profits. And this could happen, but it won't, because none of the developers that are being fired are actually talented at their jobs. They are activists who weaseled their way into this industry based on the color of their skin or their gender or their sexuality, and they are not actually talented enough to run their own company and create their own games and hire visionaries and actually talented developers, which is why I cannot really shed a tear for these people. So, yeah, things are not looking good over at Ubisoft. Not that it has looked good for a long time. It's been a decade of problems for Ubisoft, but it looks like it is only continuing to get worse as now they have laid off even more employees who worked on the hit games like Assassin's Creed Shadows, Star Wars Outlaws, XDefiant, and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which combined probably lost Ubisoft well over $1 billion. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.